Alright guys, Touchgrabber here, back again today. Hope you're all enjoying your Friday and looking forward to the weekend. Today I wanted to talk about a couple of different topics, mainly focusing around the Los Angeles Guerrillas versus the Minnesota Rocker at the Minnesota opening weekend last weekend, now as I'm recording this video. Of course, related to the forfeit situation, the search and destroy, which the Guerrillas won, but then they had the win taken away from them. Was it fair? Will this set a precedent going forward? Definitely some key questions to keep in mind, given we have many weekends to consider going forwards. First of all, of course, next weekend in London. I'll be there. If you guys are there as well, then leave that down in the comment section below. Maybe join my Discord as well, and we'll definitely sort out some sort of party thing so we can all watch the games together. That would be fantastic. But anyway, let's hop right into it. Like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. Thanks for the support on the videos lately. Once again, nearly at 17,000 subscribers, which would be a good way to pretty much start off the new year. Let's go then. So Call of Duty League, first of all, confirming that the Atlanta FaZe Home Series Challengers Open will have a prize pool now up to $25,000. I believe it was $10,000 before, so you know, there's $250,000 opening weekends, but then the individual home series challenger side, I think they don't have as many teams, you know, available as some of the other ones do, and maybe later in the year, the individual home stands are going to try and allow more teams to come along, and to pretty much the organization that puts these on, such as the Atlanta FaZe, they get to decide what the prize pool is. They've upped it to $25K. That is pretty damn cool to see, and as you can see, $400 to do it, but February 22nd, 23rd, that is the weekend, you know, just a couple of weekends after London. So honestly, some really exciting stuff on the horizon. Then you've got this, then Frano Apicella and Esports Engine saying that they will be running the Optic Gaming event. They're definitely running, effectively, this is the old MLG guys. So we've seen some of the tweets from players like Aches and the like, and we'll talk about him in a few minutes time, saying that, you know, the MLG days, like we kind of, we don't miss them enough, or that kind of sentiment, right? They were so good at what they did that any issues that we see now are kind of like down. Like MLG, honestly, truly god tier stuff. Adam Apicella and the crew effectively are now still on MLG. Activision decided they don't need them anymore to run the main events, so now they're starting their own organization called Esports Engine, pretty much, with mainly most of the same guys. And they're going to be running the individual homestands for Optic and New York. And I think there's another one as well, which I may be forgetting. Let me know down in the comment section below if you remember. But yeah, Optic Gaming Los Angeles are going to be using Esports Engine to host their event on March 7th to 8th. So that's really cool stuff to have in the pipeline. Then you've got this from Parasite. He had, of course, his team, I think like Space League, Prolute, Sparta, Ferro, whatever the team was. Haven't officially tweeted. Well, you have now, but, you know, but I'm looking for new challenges, opportunities, have a few options, but I'm still open to any team with a funded or salaried org. I have a coaching offer, but for the work I'd be putting in, it's not worth it, and that's my fallback plan. Contact me. So I have to see. Parasite, of course, leaving that team behind, didn't have a great performance, didn't really talk about the challenges in too much depth, even though it was a massive tournament, probably because it really wasn't advertised and streamed much. And on the YouTube side of things, hopefully it will be, you know, going forwards for the other events, they'll actually have a challenges dedicated stream. But they came top 12 at that event after all the good online performances. Not ideal at all, not what they were expecting to put up a performance of. So Parasite, clearly, you know, this team is you know, not going to work out. Looking for new opportunities. Interesting to see where he ends up. So here we go then. This is what happened last weekend. Los Angeles Guerrillas, Minnesota Rocker, the first event of the weekend, really late in the day for the guys in the UK and over in Europe as well. Los Angeles Guerrillas forfeited map 2 for using restricted perk hardline. Now, Los Angeles Guerrillas do a really interesting statement on this. We'll go into it in a second. But you know, the Guerrillas won map 1, then map 2 they won it, I think 6-4 or 6-3, something kind of comfortable against the Rocker. You know, a series I was expecting the Rocker to win. And of course, Minnesota Rocker being the home team is kind of interesting, that drama. Like, you know, was this home crowd advantage in a way, not crowd advantage, but home refereeing advantages, you know, that kind of that idea. But regardless, so Lacefield was using hardline on his class. Now, hardline is banned as a perk, but due to some glitches in the game that we'll talk about, it's kind of, unless you, well, we'll see the statement from Guerrillas, but apparently if you, due to some of the issues in the game, it forces you to either not change your classes at all, and if you do decide to change your classes, it will give you hardline because it's like the default. Now, it doesn't even affect the outcome of the game anyway, because streaks are gentlemen's agreemented, even though like streaks, you know, technically they're allowed, but pros decide not to use them because they don't think it makes the game any better to watch or to play, and, you know, reduces competitive integrity and all of that kind of stuff. So they decide not to use it. So hardline doesn't even matter in that context, but still, the forfeited the map, the Guerrillas forfeited the map for having a player using hardline, even though it didn't actually affect anything about the outcome of the game. So that was then 1-1, and then Minnesota Rocker took that on board and won the next 2 maps and won the series. So very interesting turn of events. If this had happened at a more important time in the year, this would have been really important, and it's going to be pretty important to see exactly what happens going forward. He didn't even have Specialist on, so Specialist, the classic Modern Warfare 3, get your perks as you get more kills. So the perk he accidentally had on was due to IW messing up CDL rules and thus having to do some workarounds that caused him to have Hardline on, didn't even affect anything. So yeah, some unintentional rule sets. And then the Guerrillas come out with a statement here. Very interesting. You rarely see stuff like this. I'll read it to you guys because I appreciate it's very small on screen. Los Angeles Guerrillas protest the outcome of a league decision during their Call of Duty League match against the Minnesota Rocker on opening day. While we accept a player did inadvertently use a banned perk, it did not affect the outcome of the game because streaks a gentleman's agreement did. The Guerrillas accept the loss and will continue to participate in all league competitions and obligations as if they were just going to quit. Like as if the guys who own Guerrillas were like, yep, this is us done, not accepting this. You can have your $25 million back. I'm out ski. Not the case. However, enforcement of the violation was inconsistent with prior incidents of a similar nature. Interesting they say that. I get maybe, are they talking about online stuff or what are they talking about? Because this is the first LAN day of the entire year. How what other incidents are they talking about here? The allowance of specialist bonus, despite including banned perks, was decided through an impromptu vote in which no Guerrillas team member was invited. The league was mistaken a Guerrillas rep was present. This doesn't really make sense grammatically. Effectively, I think they're saying the league thought a Guerrillas rep was present, but they were in fact mistaken. So the Guerrillas weren't even aware of this rule set and the issues with it. The banned hardline perk is the default perk to on all classes, and the current workaround requires players to refrain from changing their classes pre-match. Relying on players to band-aid a flaw in the game is what caused this condition. Several league decisions were cause for additional concern. Competition delays added pressure on the last match of the night. And there was not a written standard regarding time between matches, which I guess is an interesting point. It sounds a little bit like excuses, but maybe it's a fair point. Team officials were unaware of the penalty until after the match, and league senior leadership was unavailable until pressed to engage with the team. The Guerrillas have no issue with the Minnesota Rocker and appreciate their hospitality and competition this weekend. We hope this action will help the overall competitive integrity of the Call of Duty League and a healthy and fair future for all the franchises involved. That's a nice way to end the note. It's a very interesting statement that the Guerrillas come out with and say, look, we protest this. We don't think this should be the case. However, at the end of the day, at least in my opinion, they have set a precedent, right? Yes, this is an issue with the game right now that clearly, needs a workaround, but at the same time, if you're using a banned perk, obviously it's a flaw with the game that's causing that to be an issue. However, there is a workaround. Unfortunately, on this occasion, the Guerrillas weren't aware of it. In theory, you could probably say as a referee, like, okay, in those circumstances, maybe fair enough, we should have given you the win on that map, but you can't really do this kind of stuff in retrospect when the series has already been won 3-1. What do? Do you go back for game 5? Do you just go back at 2-0 and play again? Like, I don't know, what the hell do you do in a situation like this? Very difficult to call exactly what the steps you'd be to take. In my opinion, this is pretty reasonable just to say, okay, fair enough, we'll draw a line under it, but this is the standard going forwards. At least they've been consistent in that manner and they've said, okay, look, if you're using a banned perk, it's over. Maybe the, Infinity War will do a fix to the game and then, they no longer require this workaround and therefore you don't have to use hardline anymore. But if you do from now on, that's going to be cause for concern. That's going to be you forfeiting the entire map. Which, of course, is, okay, do you guys think it's fair or not, right? And that's the real question. At the end of the day, this match isn't that important. It's that right at the start of the season, it's a 10 CDL point league match. Over the course of the many, many weekends that these teams are going to be playing them, if you win a weekend, you get 50 points, right? So, a single match like this shouldn't, over the course of things, really make a huge difference. But you never know, because Guerrillas being up 2-0 was very different, of course, to being 1-1, and having all the momentum change and the Rocket getting back into the series. Who knows at the ladder half of the season whether this will even make a difference? Probably not, I would say, but still definitely an interesting thing to keep your eyes. And so, yeah, Paddy P says these power rankings suck. We all talk about power rankings. Don't let all these lists make you forget Rocker got a free win. And you also have this story that came out. I saw this on Reddit here. Thought this was kind of funny. This was way back in the day that, apparently Ricky accidentally used some, I don't even know if YouTube lets you say this. Apparently they demonetize you, so I'm not even going to bother. You can read it on screen. screen. But I didn't really watch Call of Duty at this time, but back in the Ghost days, there were these camos, of course, that were added to the game for like 420 or whatever, and apparently you weren't allowed to use DLC camos. Ricky on Optic used it against X's team, but they forfeited them for it, which is pretty crazy. But, you know, maybe X has changed or whatever, but I thought that was a kind of funny thing to mention. Just before we finish then, we have this from Intel Call of Duty and ESPN. So this is the power rankings I went through a couple of days ago now. FaZe, Huntsman, Rocker, Legion, Empire, Guerrillas, Ravens, Ultra, Mutineers, Surge, Subliners, and Optic Gaming. That's the ESPN one. I thought he made kind of sense. I wasn't fully sure with some of the choices, but then again, we only got to see 2 matches on the weekend, and it's very difficult to gauge given that the better teams tended to also play the other better teams, right? So ESPN come up with another power rankings here, and this is based on votes by the CDL coaches. Now, I always find this interesting given that not every team has a coach, right? Like, you look at FaZe, for example. Okay, you've got like Easy Mac, who's the analyst. Then you've got RJ, he's like the other analyst. Then you've got Crowder, who's the proper coach. Like, you've got a big staff around that. Whereas Dallas Empire, you know, you don't have any of that kind of stuff. So maybe it's going to be underrated in that sense. And, you know, it obviously depends who exactly they're asking. That makes a pretty big difference. But regardless, what do you guys think about this? Dallas Empire being third is the big one. The CDL coaches say that, okay, look, Empire got pretty embarrassed by FaZe and the Huntsman on the weekend, but we still think they're the best, you know, the third best team of the rest at the current time, given what they've shown online. And, you know, they did lose to the 2 best teams that may well be far and ahead above all the other teams in the league, which may be fair enough. Rocker at 4th. Paris at 5th is interesting, given that some of the coaches, I guess, you know, it's possible, right, that they've asked, like, B-Sport Josh and Dominate and some of these guys, and also some of the Royal Ravens coaching staff, because they've got Joe, they've got, you know, they've got Shane as well, of course. They've got some big guns on the coaching staff for Paris and Royal Ravens, or at least a lot of them. So maybe that helps boost up some of those guys. I can imagine the Royal Ravens guys are kind of like, you know, they like the Paris team in the sense they've got Zed over there, they've got some of the Aussie guys. I can understand that being the case, but, you know, still, maybe 5th is perfectly fair. Like, we had them, what did we have over here, like 4th? ESPN had them originally. I'm just kind of surprised that the perception of the coaches changed so significantly, that given it was so low for Paris before this weekend, now it's so high. But 5th probably does make a reasonable amount of sense. They could even be different here. Royal Ravens just below them, maybe that's fair enough. Then Mutineers, then Guerrillas, then Seattle, Surge, Subliners, Optic Gaming, and Ultra all the way down in last. Interesting one this, of course, because Ultra did show some promise on the weekend. Then again, you know, arguably they are the weakest team. It's just going to be intriguing to see, because Optic Gaming clearly not very strong right now. Subliners, of course, being 10th is a tough one because they got absolutely dominated by the Royal Ravens, but then they did win a map off Atlanta FaZe. So, you know, where does that exactly put them? Yeah, intrigued to think, you know, which of these power rankings do you think that makes most sense? ESPN's decision from the people who watch the games over the weekend, which is probably based more off the games over the weekend. And, you know, personally, I think it's tough to say that Legion are better than Empire on the current standings. I think I'm kind of inclined to more agree with the coaching one, saying that, look, Empire lost to Huntsman and FaZe, but everyone thinks they're going to be really good. And maybe some nerves on the weekend, and, you know, Ilian Shotzi's first kind of time playing on LAN in this environment. They should get better from here on out. We'll have to see. I think they're going to be in London very, very soon. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new as always. As I said, very close to 17,000. That'd be superb. Thanks for watching as always. I'll see you next time.